all in?
All in.
Wow. You're in trouble. Hey guys, welcome back to the vlog. We got a lot to cover today. So this covers 2 days worth of playing, and let's just say things did not go as smoothly as they did the last vlog. So anyway, sit back, relax, enjoy. Here it comes. All right, we're back at Capital Casino looking for some 1-3 action. Buying for $500. Off we go. After about 20 minutes, we get our first playable hand. A player limps in early position. We raise with 2 kings to 15. End up getting 3 callers. So we go 4 ways to a flop of 7-5-4. Everybody checks to me. No one really has a big stack. So I decided to check this one back, hoping that somebody would catch up on the turn. Turn card comes as another blank, a deuce of clubs. So when it's checked to me this time, I can't wait any longer. So I bet for $30. Only get 1 caller from the player from the big blind. He has a very short stack. The other player ends up folding out. And we see a river card of a 5 of clubs. Doesn't really help us much. Could make him 3 5s or a backdoor flush. But as soon as he checks, I know he doesn't have much. He would get anything in that he has worthwhile. I figure I have to put out a bet. Maybe he'll call me really, really light. So I put $50 in, enough to put them all in. He thinks about it for a minute and then just decides to let it go. So we went off a small pot. I thought this would be the first of many, but I was wrong. There's an $8 straddle from the other gun player. The +1 puts in the call for the $8. I look down at 2 aces from middle position, make it 30. It gets folded back around to the player in the +1, who is a very competent player, and he puts in the call for the 30. So we're going to go heads up to this flop with $72 in the pot. Flop comes out pretty darn good. It comes 10-7 deuce with 2 hearts. So I'm looking to get action from a 10, a flush draw, maybe a medium-sized pocket pair that might have called pre. Bet $25. He puts in the quick call, and we're going to go see a turn card now. Turn card is a 8 of clubs. Not the greatest turn card in the world. It does complete a bunch of straights and 2 pairs. And he leads into me for $70. Now, what could he be doing this with? Just about anything. He could have picked up some equity with a straight draw. He could be protecting, say, a pair of 10s, and he thinks I have just overcards. He could be just setting up for a move on the river. It's really hard to determine, but I figure the best course would be just to call and see what happened on the end, which comes a 9 of clubs. One of the worst cards in the deck. It completes just about everything but a flush draw. Anyway, I expect my opponent to bet. I was just trying to figure out the sizing, and he decides on $225. Yeah, tough spot to be in. Is he capable of bluffing here? Yes. Is he bluffing here? Hard to say. Even if he was bluffing with something, he might have backdoored his way into a straight or 2 pair. Really tough spot, and I figure it was kind of early in the round, in the day, and I decided just to let it go.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in. You don't want to be calling too light there. There's a lot of hands that can beat you. If he's bluffing, he's bluffing. I think it's a good fold.
So after laying down those aces, went through a long dry spell, finally picked up King 3 suited from the cutoff. Yeah, it's not a great hand, but in the cutoff, a suited king is not that bad. So I opened for 15, get called from the button in both blinds, and we go to a flop 4 ways. Flop comes 10 ace 4 with 2 spades, so we got a flush draw and we got some backdoor straight draws. First player in the small blind goes all in for like $17. Next player puts in the call, definitely getting a very good price to put in a call, so that's what I do. And the other player folds out. So turn card comes is a deuce of hearts, which is a straight card for us. So now we need a 5 or a spade, and the big blind leads in all in for like $27. Still getting a very good price. I'm against 2 all-in players, and of course I'm going to brick this thing out with an 8 of diamonds on the end. It's just the way the day's been going so far. So got a little loose, and I got charged the max. It's been a while since I won a pot. I look down at ace 10 suited, under the gun. Good enough for me to raise. I make it 15. I get called by the player on my left, and it's folded around to the player in the big blind, who puts in a 3-bet to 58. Kind of an odd size for a 3-bet, and I'm not quite sure what this means. Anyway, with 40% of a royal flush, I am definitely not going anywhere. I put in the call, and so does the player behind me. So we're going to end up going 3 ways to this flop, and we got 175 in the center, and it comes 10 high. My opponent leads out quickly, and now it's on me. I got top pair, top kicker. I think raising here would be overplaying my hand. He could still have a bigger pair. He could have 2 big clubs and tons of equity. I decided to put in a call and see what happens on the turn. Turn card comes as an 8 of clubs. Does put out the flush if that's what he was drawing to. He ends up checking it over to me, and here I can either bomb it, trying to get him off some sort of flush draw, or check it back and just plan on calling on the end. So my plan is to call any bet, and it's not a club. The river is a queen of hearts. My opponent looks at the board for a second, and then he slides out a bet for $150. Find myself in another tough spot, facing a $150 bet on the end. He could definitely have ace queen, king queen, something like that. He could even have like a pair of kings or pocket queens and made a set. But I'm going to stick to the plan. I put in the crying call. He shows me ace queen with the ace of clubs. So the only real card that costs me money is a queen of diamonds or a queen of hearts. Any club I would fold to, and any other card I would win. Yep, it's going to be one of those days. There was a limp from a player, and then the player to my right puts in the raise to 16. Here I have king jack offsuit. I should be either 3-betting or folding, most likely just folding the way things have been going. But it's been a very long time since I had a playable hand, so I got a little loose and just tossed in the call. Flop comes out 3-4-7, gets checked around. Turn card comes as a jack of hearts, so I make top pair, second best kicker. And now the person who originally limped in decides to lead for $40. It's folded to me. Here, I got top pair. I got a decent kicker. He could have a lot of different things. I am a little bit concerned. He slow plays something like 5-6, but I don't think I can fold. So I put in the call for the 40. And the player on my left, who's been pretty action-packed so far, he decides to put in the call also. So it's just the 3 of us seeing this river card, which comes a 9 of clubs. A relative blank, unless someone had just something like jack 9 or something. Anyway, player ends up betting for $50. I'm in another tough spot. I have a $50 call to win a $300 pot. Seems like it's a no-brainer. I got to put in the call. There's no obvious hand that will beat me, until he shows me the jack 3 of spades. So, yeah, one more down. All right, I got all the way down to like $80 and got all in with 2 pair on one hand, and ended up outrunning a guy who flopped a straight. It's made a seat change over to the seat next to me when it became available. And this is the first interesting hand from that seat where we're involved in the bomb pot, and I picked up ace jack, and the flop comes ace jack 4. So, oh God, I hope this is a good seat change. Anyway, player bets $20, and definitely $20 is not big enough. I need to protect my hand just in case someone has some sort of gut shot or flush draw or something. So I make it 50. Everyone else folds. Player who originally bet $20 puts in the call, and we get to see a turn card, which comes at 8. I'm sure there's some way for me to lose this hand. I'm just not sure what it is, but it's not going to be because I checked it. That's for sure. So he checked it over to me. I put out a small bet, $60. He thinks for a while. He lets it go, and I win another pot. All right, my stack is up to about $350. I'm on the button. I have 2 queens. It's folded to me. Open for a raise of 15. Only get called by the player in the small blind. Flop comes out 9-8 deuce with 2 diamonds. He checks it over. Seems like a safe flop to go ahead and c-bet, so I make it 15. He puts in the quick call. Turn card comes as a queen of hearts. Now my opponent leads into me for 25. Yeah, he could have Jack 10 here, but I really think he wouldn't just lead into me with Jack 10. I think maybe he has something like 9-8, some sort of two pair combination, maybe still drawn to the flush. Anyway, I decided I got a strong hand. I haven't had a strong hand all day long. I'm not going to slow down. So I make it 80. He thinks for a while and puts in the call. So we're going to go see a river card with about a pot-sized bet left behind of a 4 of spades. Excellent card. He checks with a pot-sized bet left. Yeah, I'm going for it. I announce all in, toss in a chip, and let's see what he does. Well, after thinking for over 2 minutes, he finally throws in a chip. I tell him I have a set of queens, and he goes, I thought so. And he rolled over pocket 9. So he flopped top set. I turn a bigger set. I get to double through him. So now I got over $700 in my stack, where just about half hour ago I had $80. So the comeback has begun. All right, there's an under the gun limp. I look down at 2 10s, raised to 15. Both the big blind and the limper put in the call for the 15. So we're going to go 3 ways to a flop of 10-7 deuce. 2 hearts. So top set, wet board. They both check to me. I bet $20. Big blind puts in the call. And now the under the gun player decides that $20 is not enough. Music to my ears. He decides to make it 70. And with this wet board, normally I would just want to get in another raise here, try to protect against a flush draw. But I think that when I flop a hand this big, I'm just going to let him go ahead and continue. So I put in a call. It's very dangerous because I'm letting the player in behind me. He might have a flush draw. He might have some sort of straight draw. But I think it's worth the risk. Player behind me puts in the call also. So we're going to go 3 ways to this turn card. And what a beautiful turn card it is. A 3 of clubs. First player checks. Next player thinks for a moment and then decides to bet $100. So when he's betting out for $100, I don't think he has a flush draw. I think the opponent behind me might have a flush draw. So now it's time to drop the hammer and really put pressure on a flush draw or straight draw if that's what he has. So I decided to go all in. Both players have a little over $350 left in their stack. The person who bet out has about $310, and the person behind me has about $350. So I jam, and I get insta-called by the player in the big blind. The other player thinks for about 20 to 30 seconds before putting in the call. And for some reason, I must have bumped the camera, and I stopped recording. But he put in the call. The player in the big blind had pocket 7s, so he flopped a set of 7s. The other player, I never did see what his hand was. I wasn't quite sure I'll make this comeback or not. It was a very rough day, but played solid, didn't tilt too much, and comeback complete. And for the final hand of the day, I have 2 jacks in the big blind. There was 1 limper from under the gun. I decided to raise to 15, and it's just the 2 of us seeing a flop. Flop comes out 6-7-9. So not the greatest flop in the world, but I decided just to lead out here and lead out over pot for 50. I figured if he wanted to play gamble, he was going to have to put some money in. And he didn't think very long before putting in the money. Turn card's a blank, 2 of spades. I figured he called a big bet before. Let's see if he does it again. So I just jam. He has about $250 left. He thinks for a little bit, and he decides to let it go, which is fine by me. So after that nice comeback from the other day, came back. First hand we played, $6 straddle. I opened for 20 with kings, and everybody folds. So not the glorious start we wanted, but at least we didn't lose our first hand. Well, it's time for a bomb pot. Everybody put up $10, and we had 8 players seeing this flop. And the flop comes out 10-9-4. I peek down at 1-4, which is good, and there's no action. It's getting checked over to me, and I peek over at the other one, and it's another 4. So I flop bottom set. I decided to bet $30, a little bit on the small side, just because I want someone with top pair to overprotect their hand. And sure enough, didn't have to wait long. The player to my direct left puts in a min raise to $60. Everybody else folds out. Here, yeah, this is easy. If he has pocket 10s or pocket 9s, so be it. He's going to win a lot of money. If he has some sort of draw or a pair of 10s or some sort of overpair, I'm going to get the money in when the getting's good. So I jam. He snap calls and turns over pocket aces. I tell him that he's behind.
You gotta love the action when the guy gets it all in with a pair of aces.
But the dealer likes him better because they put up an ace of diamonds and a king of clubs. So flop a set against an overpair, and yeah, I double them up. God, this is kind of feeling like the other day. And there were a bunch of limpers, and I looked down at King 8 suited from the low jack. Not a great hand, but I decided just to try to steal this. So I raised to 25, expecting maybe 1 caller at best, maybe 2. But no, I get 5 callers. Yes, 5 callers. Flop comes out 9-7-4 with 2 diamonds. So great flop, but I'm up against 5 opponents. And they all check to me. Here, I just decided to check back, taking my free card. This should definitely hit my opponent's ranges better than mine. Turn card comes as a jack of clubs. So now I got a gutter with my flush draw, and I still got an overcard, and it gets checked to me again. Well, I guess I could stab at this, but I think that one of my 5 opponents is going to have something here that they're not going to want to give up. So I just took my free card again. And the river card comes as a 9 of spades. So I brick out completely. And it's checked around to me. I really can't represent a 9 after checking the flop and then checking the turn. So I just have to surrender. I give up. And a pair of 4s ended up winning this hand. So a big bet on the flop probably would have won the hand. And maybe a big bet on the turn would have done it too. All right, we're stuck at like almost $400. Finally looked down at ace king suited. There's a player to my right who limps in who's been very action-packed. So I raise, he calls, we get one other caller. So we're going to go 3 ways to this flop with 64 in the pot. Flop comes ace 10-3, rainbow. So good flop, gets checked to me. I'm going to continue. I got top pair, top kicker. So I bet out for 25. First player folds, next player puts in the call. Now, he is very loose. He could be playing anything, including a 3. Turn card comes as a 3 of spades. He checks it over. I decide just to check this back. Any kind of blank comes off, I'm going to call down a bet. If he checks, I'm going to put out a decent-sized bet. He checked to me. I put out a bet for $80. And I thought that he would have to actually think about the $80, but he just like snap calls right away. So maybe I should have bet a little bit bigger. I show him the ace-king. He mucks it, saying he had a 10. Well, somehow I managed to only be down $200 to stay, and now I pick up 2 queens in the hijack. There was a couple limpers. A player to my right raises to 25. I decided to raise to 80. Just really want to get it between me and the player to my right. I figured the limpers would fold out, but no, they don't. They both cold call the 80 after limping in for $3. Player to my right also puts in the money. So we're going to go 4 ways to this flop with 324 in it. Flop comes out 10-7-4 with 2 clubs. So not a bad flop. Actually, it's a pretty good one. First player leads all in for $104. Type of hands are we doing this with? I figure a 10, a flush draw, a set, maybe some sort of open ender even. The other players fold out, and so I think for $104 to win over a $500 pot, it's a pretty easy call. So I count out $104 and stick it in there, and we get to see a run out, which comes a 6 of spades and a 3 of hearts. So straights get there, but he didn't have that. He had pocket 7s and flopped a set. So I've been pretty card dead. The player to my right has been winning just about every single pot. I look down at ace king suited, raised to 15. It gets folded to a player in middle position who makes it 30. One player puts in the call at the far end of the table, and now it's back to the player to my right, who's been basically playing just about every hand. And he's saying, oh, $30. Okay, yeah, I'll play for $30. So he puts in the call for $30. And now it's to me. Top spot, I'm going to be raising. I'm trying to think of a good sizing because I want to price one of these players out. I don't want to price two players and get heads up with the guy who min raised for 30 because I expect him to have a fairly strong range, but I kind of want action from the player on my right. So I make it 165. I figured it would be big enough to get the player at the other end of the table out. And the other player who min raised to 30, he puts in a quick call. And now it's coming back around to the player on my right. And he has been, as I said, running really good. And he's been letting everybody know how well he's been running. And things at the table, well, you might just say the tension was in the air. And finally, after tanking forever, and I do mean forever, and arguing with several players about how long he's taking to make this call or fold, he makes the call. But just to get everyone still upset at him, he makes it like a string call. It took him like 3 or 4 different motions to finally get all his chips into the pot. So, yeah, the table is very irritable at this point. No one likes a good winner or a bad winner, or a winner in general. Flop comes out ace 5-5 with 2 spades. And having 400 and change left in front of me, I just jam. Next player insta calls with his hand, and the player to my right insta calls and has us all covered. Run out comes 3 of clubs and a jack of spades. The other player shows ace king. I show my ace king. And of course, the player to my right shows queen 7 of spades for a flush. Ugh. I would normally never think about leaving a game this good. Player on my right had probably $4,000 or $5,000 in chips and was playing many, many hands. He has the whole table tilted. And me, I was still okay. I wasn't too frustrated. It's just I wasn't feeling well. It was just hard to explain. I was getting a little tired and I just wasn't feeling right. So I ended up cashing out and leaving for the day. And the following day I didn't feel good again. So I took one of those home COVID tests and it came back positive. So I've been self-isolating for the last week and a half. I'm all better now. I feel good. I'm not contagious anymore. So it's time to get back into action. Just be careful out there because this COVID stuff is still going on. Most of the people getting it now aren't getting as sick as they were in the past, which is a good thing, but it seemed to be spread very rapidly and very easily. I know several people that have come down with it. And yeah, so be careful. As for poker, yeah, the results, not great, but not awful. That first day I was in 1,000, got it all the way down to the felt and came back with a nice comeback, ended up winning $600. Second day, I was in 1,000 again, went all the way down to the felt, but as I said, I wasn't feeling good, so I just left. And so we ended up losing $400 over the course of those 2 days, and they were kind of rough days. I mean, got in a lot of tricky spots. A lot of things didn't go well. Luckily, on that first day, I was able to turn a set of queens and flop a set of tens. Other than that, things did not actually go my way at all. Also, I'm going to announce that I'm going to be in Las Vegas at the end of the month from the 25th to the 29th. I'm going to play in one of the World Series events, and they're going to play a lot of cash games. So if you're in the area in Vegas, hit me up on Instagram, and hopefully we can meet up while I'm out there. Until next time, good luck at the tables, and we'll see you soon.